All right. Hi, guys. I'm Shane Snipes, and this is part two of our conversation with Patrick Stoddard, who is a high school student here in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. And Eau Claire, Wisconsin is a nice little town. I really had a great time driving into it and got a chance to see and meet with some of the people working in the county level in terms of recycling and sustainability work. And then I got a big surprise with the person that's hosting me who was inspired to tell me about Patrick and his invention here. So watch the previous segment if you get a chance, because we talked about the invention itself and how it works. But it's a recycling trash can that actually pays the community back. And it's a great project. I'm excited that someone like you would come up with that. So thanks again for being with me on this show, and we'll continue our questions here. One question that I saw before the show started was from Dennis, and Dennis asked, it seems like this sort of thing could go over really well in a lot of other places. Do you have any ideas how you might make it a bigger project?
One of the things that I was thinking about was actually applying for a grant that Pepsi was doing, because they were doing a program where you could get, I'm pretty sure it was 1,000, 5,000, or 1,000, 5,000, 25,000, or even up to $100,000 in grants from programs that, or for programs that give back to the community, give back to the earth, things like that.
Right.
I thought about applying for something like that, but I decided not to do it just yet for two reasons. One, the project isn't completely finished, and I still have to go into the testing phase of it, per se. And secondly, Pepsi is actually inventing something that could go up against this.
Right.
They're doing a plastic and aluminum can buyback. They're putting these machines in large city areas and actually giving people credit for recycling.
Right.
One of the problems with that is it's exclusive to the vendors that they choose. So it's really like they're giving you a gift card, and on top of that, the machines use a very large amount of energy. They're huge. They're like vending machines.
Right.
Yeah, and so I could go the grant route, or I could start small and eventually try to get big. My hope for this would be to see it go district-wide. If I can get to that point, then we could start looking into other districts. People who come visit our school might see what's going on, and they might be inspired. But I've got a big scope of paths it could follow. So
Sure,
yeah.
sure, absolutely. Denali, who is also a high school student, 17 years old, says, "You got a great invention here. I just watched the previous segment, and I think your ideas are awesome. Thanks for the compliments."
Thank you,
for
Denali.
this
It's
guy.
really nice of you.
Yeah, and he said he really appreciates your work, and most importantly, I want to know, how can you inspire other students to be inventive like this?
It's hard because, in my opinion, if you ask me, schools nowadays don't encourage it a lot. It seems like they're very routine-based. You go to class, you take notes, you do your homework, and you're good. And it seems like most students are very content with just living their life like that. But what I think is really important is to create awareness within student bodies of political problems, things that are going on with the world, because when I talk to a lot of people at my school, it seems like there's a lot of apathy over things like global warming, over recycling, things like that. And if we could just get rid of some of that, I think the inventiveness part of it all would just follow suit. People would see why they need to look at problems from a different standpoint
Sure.
to solve them. So.
Wow. So then how do you teach your teachers to be a little more engaging?
It's yeah, that's such a hard part because it's so ingrained in the public school system. You just go to school, you do your homework, and you're good. I think hands-on activities are extremely important. And I also think freedom with assignments is very important because that encourages students to think outside of the box. And
Will people take their freedom though and not want to do anything with it? I mean, are you going to feel inspired?
I'm sure that there are going to be those people out there who won't, and I'm sure that there will be people who just see the idea as being stupid and silly, but I think there are those who are starving for freedom to invent and freedom to innovate.
Sure.
And if we just let them, I mean, who knows what could come up?
Yeah.
I mean,
well, there's the perfect example right here of someone who had an inspiration and just went out and did it. And wow, that's an amazing feat. I think I hope you realize just how powerful that is.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I look forward to seeing it grow and expand out. And I'll take a couple more questions for you, and then I'll have, of course, my final question that I always ask everyone.
Okay.
But let me get a couple more questions. Let's see. Adele, her question was, such a great invention. Good job.
Thank you.
There we go. More compliments. Always love to see those. Christy said the same thing just below here.
Thank you.
You're an inspiration! Exclamation point, exclamation point. And so keep up the good work. Adele's question was, in terms of aluminum, it seems that market has crashed. Has it crashed in most small towns, and is recycling still valuable enough to make something like this work?
I know here in Eau Claire, which is a town the size of a little bit less than 70,000 people, we have about 3 recycling buyback centers. So when you consider that, that's like 1 recycling buyback center for every 20,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, plastic has become the packaging of choice, per se, for most soft drinks, but that's mainly because it's so lightweight and it is cheaper to make. Let's be honest, it's a lot cheaper to make. It's petroleum-based, which, you know, here in the U.S. is very cheap.
Right now.
Yeah. Well, wait, yeah. But, yeah, when our government is subsidizing oil exploration, that's a bad thing. But,
you heard it straight from me. I didn't say it. It came from him.
But I think that aluminum recycling, if we can just really create the aluminum market so that it's more recycling based than extraction based, mm-hmm. I think it still has plenty of potential because aluminum is so recyclable, whereas plastic can only be recycled several times. When you go and recycle a plastic bottle, it most of the time gets turned into carpeting. When you go and recycle an aluminum can, it can be turned into an aluminum can again.
Right.
So.
Yeah, it makes sense. Totally makes sense. What do your parents think of this?
They don't know what to think. There have been a lot of times when it's Patrick, come down for dinner, and I'm still up there working in my room on it. And but overall, they've been really supportive. They think the idea is really great, and they want to see me do something with it. And they've been trying to find contacts for me. But yeah, they've been great about it. I'm really happy with how supportive they've been. So.
Good, good. So my last question is always the question I ask everyone, and so I'm going to ask you this question too. Okay. And Patrick, I have to ask, what is sustainability to you?
Sustainability is behavior that we can do indefinitely and don't have to worry about what's going to happen when we run out. It's a way of life. It's a way of thinking about things. It's realizing that the Earth only has room, that we're living on a finite planet, and we have finite resources to share, and have to figure out a way to share them, reuse them, recycle them, and conserve them. So.
Definitely. Awesome. So you guys, when you're ready to discover the story of what's happened here directly from Patrick, keep your eyes and ears peeled on Google for a search for his name, and then of course Eau Claire, and I'm sure you're going to hear about him and see him in the headlines as this project continues to grow and expand. There's so many opportunities to build relationships with other organizations that can benefit from something like this. It's a beautiful thing, and I appreciate your inspiring work, Patrick.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on, Shane.
Absolutely, and be sure you check out sustainable1000.com and lots more interviews and radio shows and podcasts 24/7. It's all there just for you. Bye now.